Yeah, my name's Rodney Dillon. I grew up around this area in the next gully, a couple of gullies back that way, Nicholls Rivulet. My ancestry comes from the northeast of Tasmania, and our family's been down here about 7 generations living in this area. So yeah, this is an important place. Well, reconciliation's it's about coming together and then starting to work together, doing things together. We want to share history. We want to share culture. We want to do these things together. So I think that's the journey that we need to talk about, where we get up to, where we're going to go. We'll talk about the truth of history. We'll talk about where we go with the truth of history. I think truth and reconciliation both work together, so I think that's important as well. We've not only got to take the journey of understanding one another, but then we've got to start talking about the truth of what happened. You know, there wasn't a settlement, there was an invasion, and it's pretty hard for people to say the word invasion. It's almost like eating dry bread, you know. It's very hard for them to get the word invasion out. So when we get to that, and this is a journey to get to there, and when we can get to those words that there was an invasion and there wasn't a settlement, and I think they're the steps that councils will play a role in. This is a time when two groups of people who have been a long way apart are starting to come gradually together to understand one another and to start working towards a common goal together. What would we like to see? You know, we'd like the council to understand who we are and that we do exist and we're here. We'd also like them to respect our cultural sites and to make sure they play a role in helping us manage those. With councillors understanding that, and also all the workers in there, that they make sure they know where all the sites are in the hill and where they're working, and that they're not damaging any of those sites, that they work around them and work with the Aboriginal community to do that. I think they're the steps we'll take. And I think that reconciliation's got to that stage where some people think that reconciliation's going to do this and going to achieve that. But reconciliation mightn't be able to do that. This is not the vehicle to fix everything that we've got. This is just a vehicle to help address that relationship of coming together and working together. And I think that's the role that a reconciliation action plan will play with this council. This is stolen land. You know, that word stolen, it's a pretty hard word, stolen land, and how we work together to go in the future. And reconciliation is not just about Aboriginal people standing up. Reconciliation's about white people standing up and admitting the wrongs of the past, what's happened, so we can go down that road together. So there's a little bit in this for everyone to work together with. And the council started to do some of those things. The council, you know, having a flag that represents us. 25 years ago, no council wanted to put up an Aboriginal flag, so we have come a little way. I think the relationships are starting to improve. When we talk about protecting Aboriginal heritage sites in the area, councils are now more willing to understand what heritage sites are. So they're almost ready to start saying, yes, we should be protecting sites in this area as well. And then that starts them to talking about the 50,000 years of culture and heritage that's in their area. And then they start to take some kind of ownership of that. I think that's when you'll see us working together better and using the word invasion, and that there wasn't a settlement. This wasn't a settlement. There's 2,500 generations of my ancestors in this land here, and we as a community have a responsibility to them. I have a responsibility, but so does the local council. They have a responsibility to make sure that we protect what they had and make sure that we don't damage it, and going ahead in the future that we have that feeling of ownership, that we feel pride in these 2,500 generations that's in this land here, and the understanding the sustainability of people. When we start talking about a race of people that's lived on this land for 50,000 years, I wonder what 50,000 years of white people living on this land would look like. So I think we need to, when we start talking about reconciliation, we talk about sustainability and not leaving too big a footprint on this land and damaging this land or the rivers. You know, the river behind us is the bloodline for this land. And we rely on the river, and the river relies on us to look after it as well. So there's all that comes into this reconciliation. So I think it's not just having a relationship with the people, but you've got to have to start having the relationship with the land and the waters. So I think they're the things that that reconciliation action plans need. Where are we going together in the future? Start talking about what are we going to do. Are we going to have Aboriginal people on the council? Are we going to have signage? What are we doing for NAIDOC week? You know, these questions have all got to be asked, and they're, you know, and has the council got enough money to do this as well? Because the council's running on a pretty short budget, so it's about changing the behaviour of the people rather than huge amount of monies to make change.